When we think about the law, we usually picture these old, dusty books, right? Ancient traditions, things that feel like they've been set in stone for centuries. But what if I told you that right now, under our noses, the law is going through one of the biggest architectural revolutions in its entire history? It's being completely re-engineered from the ground up for the world we actually live in today, the digital age. Now, our guide for this journey is Professor Vihar Kiskinov. The ideas we're going to explore are based on his incredible work in mapping out this massive transformation of our legal system. So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll get to know the original architects of law. Then, we'll see what happens when their old designs collide with the digital era. We'll explore the completely new virtual realities this clash creates, check out the tools we need to build for the future, and finally, we'll see this new system in action.
All right, first up, before we can really grasp the revolution, we've got to understand the original design, right? What are the fundamental building blocks that lawyers and lawmakers have been using for hundreds of years?
It's easy to think of law as just a giant list of rules. Do this or don't do that. But is that the whole story? What is law really made of? According to Professor Kiskinov, it's something way more elegant and structured than just a pile of rules. The core idea we need to get is something called a legal construction. And this totally shifts your perspective. This isn't just a single rule, like one brick. Think of it more like an entire engineered archway. It's a blueprint that skillfully combines rights, duties, and responsibilities, all from different legal parts, to achieve one very specific goal, like setting up a company or making sure a contract is valid.
So how do they build these things? Well, think of it as a four-step process. In step one, you've got your basic materials, your core rules and principles. But that's not enough to build with. So in step two, you bring in what are called service norms. These are things like official definitions or legal presumptions. They're like the mortar and support beams that hold everything together. Step three is where the magic happens. You link all those pieces together. And then step four, you have the final result, a stable, working legal construction.
Okay, so we've got these elegant, carefully designed legal structures that were built for a physical world. But what happens when you try to use those same old blueprints in the completely new landscape of the digital era? This is where the problem becomes crystal clear. The traditional legal world was built on things you can touch: paper, physical signatures, a sense of permanence. The virtual environment, though, it's the total opposite. It's immaterial, it's instantaneous, and it's constantly changing. Its reality is built on data and code, not on atoms and ink.
And this is exactly why just trying to update old laws is doomed to fail. Professor Kiskinov puts it perfectly here. When we try to regulate something new and digital using old legal ideas, we get what he calls illusory successes. It feels like we're solving the problem, but in reality, we're just creating a legal system that's completely out of sync with the world it's supposed to be governing. We're just fooling ourselves.
So this new digital environment isn't just breaking old legal ideas. It's actually forcing the creation of entirely new ones. To really understand law today, we have to get our heads around these new realities that were literally born online.
And right at the heart of this is the idea of a virtual legal fact. Think about it. An automated stock trade that happens in a microsecond, a cryptographically verified digital signature, an entry on a blockchain. These things are absolutely real in a legal sense. They have massive real-world consequences, but they only exist as data. They don't really have a direct physical counterpart.
And just look at how different they are. A real-world fact is something you perceive with your senses. A virtual one? You need technology just to see it. A real fact can be messy and informal, but a virtual fact is always expressed formally in data. And here's maybe the biggest mind-bender. Virtual facts are often created by automated systems, and unlike a car crash, sometimes you can actually reverse them. Okay, so the old blueprints are failing us, and we're dealing with these strange new virtual realities. That begs the big question, right? How do we actually move forward? What are the new tools we need to start building a legal system that's designed for the world we live in now? And the most important point here is that we can't just keep patching the old system. It won't work. We need a brand new toolbox. Professor Kiskinov calls these new tools constructive mechanisms. And that's exactly what they are: purpose-built tools and processes designed for creating and managing law in a virtual world. So what's in this new toolbox? Well, these are the new pillars for our legal architecture. We're talking about things like official electronic registers that act as the one single source of truth, entirely virtual legal proceedings,
secure digital spaces where you and only you control your personal data, and certified channels for digital communication. And look, these aren't just tech buzzwords. These are the actual foundational pieces of a legal system that is truly digital native. So let's pull all of this together. What does this huge shift really mean for how we even think about law? Well, it forces us to stop seeing law as a static, dusty book on a shelf and to start seeing it for what it has become, a dynamic, living, evolving system. And that, right there, is the biggest takeaway from all of this. Law is no longer something we just read. It's a complex, operational system that we, all of us, must consciously and intentionally design and build. It's a lot more like being a software architect designing a massive program than a historian reading an old text. It demands active, forward-thinking construction.
Because make no mistake, this digital transformation of the law is happening whether we're ready for it or not. So the real choice in front of us is this. Are we going to be the conscious architects of our legal future, or are we just going to be passive observers while it gets built for us by technology and by chance?